Assalamualaikum to all my Muslim viewers and good afternoon everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Before we go any further, I would like to request some feedback from the audience to check whether you can see and hear as well. Please drop yes if everything is clear in the chat box. Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your response. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. As we already know, this week is a hectic week for RIUM students since we have holiday next week, right? So many assignments want to be submitted this week. Not to mention, after Raya also, we have submissions have been waiting for us. Okay, so thank you so much for taking your time. For those who can only join halfway, rest assured, the recorded version of this webinar will be available on Professional Speech Communication Facebook and YouTube. By the end of this webinar, there will be a question and answer session if you have anything to ask the speaker. Let me introduce myself. My name is Syarifah Athirah. I am the moderator for today with my partner, Shi Peipei. Shi Peipei, can you wait?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yes.
Hello.
Perhaps Peipei can introduce us to this program.
Okay, thank you, Syarifah. Before we start the webinar, let me introduce the program. This program is a webinar series from one of the assessments in subject Professional Speech Communication. Code is COMM 3090 under Madam Ada. So the webinar has 16 series, and this is the 11th series. We just focus on the sustainable development goals with disability inclusions. So what is SDG? The Sustainable Development Goals, as known as the global goals, right? So was adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015 as a universal call to action to the end of the poverty, to protect the planet and to ensure all of the people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. To make it simple, it is a big project to make the world a better place.
Okay, so SDG has 17 goals and our chosen goal for this webinar is SDG8. SDG8 is a decent work and economic growth for people with disabilities. This SDG is to promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. So have you guys ever wondered how people with disabilities get their job? What kind of criteria do they need to have or follow in order to get the job? How about the hardship that they need to face? How can we help them to continue their life? Rest assured, these questions will be explained later by our speaker today. So Peipei, would you like to introduce our speaker?
Okay, yes. For the most hours, the speaker, the guide is Miss Patricia. She is a Director of Advocacy in the Dignity and Services. According to our topic today and our guest, the related organization is Dignity and Service. It began in the 1991. It's an advocacy movement related to the person with learning disabilities. Its mission is to raise the public awareness for the people with learning disability, like them to enjoy dignity and equal rights, independent lives. So without wasting our time, I would like to invite our guest, Ms. Patricia, the speaker to our webinar. Please, Ms. Patricia, the floor is yours.
Decent work and economic growth and disability inclusion. I am actually, first of all, a working advocate and solicitor, but I am most of all a mother of a person with learning disability, because I have a 29-year-old son who has autism and for whom I have had since birth. It has been a very difficult journey for me and him, particularly where it concerns the autistic children from the 1990s, simply because we didn't get much support then, all right? And so when it came to dignity and services, well, basically I okay. I'm actually a director of advocacy, and this is not a paid position. It's a voluntary position, and I volunteer my time to get involved in the work that they do, simply because I believe that children who are autistic have a right, really, not only to live life as the fullest, but as a decent as decent as any normal human being would want. Okay, and hopefully I'm hoping that he would be more independent of me. So indirectly I support them via my directorship, and I also support them via my volunteer time towards the activities. And of course, also helping out whenever they need an extra mother, because we don't allow the children to go out without enough adult supervision. I'll continue. So I will tell you a little bit more about dignity and services. Well, it started out in 1991 as an advocacy movement, mainly involved with children who were with learning disabilities, in the same hope as all us who are parents, so that they can have an independent voice and be heard, and also to create a lot of public awareness that these children exist, and that when they scream or they have their meltdowns, it is not something to be afraid of, simply because they are also human themselves. So basically, we wanted to have people who were with learning disability to be able to enjoy a dignity and as the human being with equal rights, opportunities to lead independent lives within the communities that they live in, the communities that they serve in. All right. So the first three directors, as I had indicated there, were Peter Young from Malaysia Care, I think Dr. Abraham, a pediatrician, as well as Dr. Denison Jayasuriya, who was actually a social activist. So DNS has, over the span of 30 odd years, I think given a lot of their service towards the community, and have touched thousands of lives of children who have come through our way. I continue.
Yes, can.
Currently, persons with learning or rather disabilities under our Malaysia's Persons and with Disabilities Act 2008, which was then amended in 2018, define children or persons with disabilities as long-term physical, mental, intellectual with sensory impairments. And one of the persons with not only learning disability, with sensory impairment is really my son. To shave him here is so difficult. And well, we are still going through well, sensory impairments. Working with hands is also difficult for him because it's very sensitive as far as the palms are concerned. Okay, so the children that DNS supports are actually really people with on the autism spectrum, Down syndrome, Asperger's, ADHD, and other developmental delays. We have currently ongoing two projects really. One is what we call supported living, and the other one is really Bake with Dignity. It is through supported living, which is a program that we bring them to come together over the weekends to live together, away from their parents or caregivers, that they learn more about maybe cooking, deciding on the shopping list. And we could also have social outings with them to maybe Museum Negara, maybe to One Utama using the public transport. All right. But it's been rather more difficult during this COVID period, simply because social outings to public places are not encouraged. And of course, parents are also a bit concerned about their own children. So members actually participate in the events to raise all this awareness. And during this sort of lockdowns, the staff actually ensure that they actually still bond through Zoom sessions. And I wanted to actually put down some of the activities that they did, except that under our personal data, some of their parents have actually written that they don't want their children's photographs to be publicized. So I need to respect the parents. So I have not actually included the Zoom activities and so on. But let me tell you that they make beautiful lanterns via paper cuttings. And they've actually been doing this for the last, I think, towards the third quarter of 2020. Now, besides learning to work towards an independent life, well, Bake with Dignity has actually produced, well, cakes, cookies, and so on for festivities. And it's been rather difficult because they don't get the support during a COVID period. So I can actually give pictures of all this because they don't involve the children. Okay.
Okay.
Moving on. Currently, we are actually Bake with Dignity's took off, and as a social enterprise, and it, I think, started perhaps in the late 2006-07, and what has happened is that it has actually expanded, and now we can actually pay the children who are bakers $7 an hour with all statutory contributions. And also we have a supervisor who manages the logistics and 2 coaches to support the bakers there. Sometimes the support may be, other than having a parent there, it will be a ratio of 1 adult to maybe 4 or 5 children. Okay. So we've had to close our baking enterprise, particularly, and it's caused a lot of because then it means that the children can't earn, and because of the COVID period, and it's been a challenge for us. All right. Okay. Ultimately, employing children at the bakery has actually given them an opportunity to be gainfully employed, to be able to earn something and to spend the money on something that they want. Okay. Otherwise, they would have had to stay home and join ranks of perhaps 80% of such children who, or rather persons who are not employed at all and need to stay home simply because nobody wants to give them an opportunity. The bakery has actually given them some form of a shelter, in the sense that people who work there understand them, understand their frustrations, understand when they have a meltdown, and know how to handle them. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Recently, Bake with Dignity has found an opportunity to further showcase its bakers' work in the form of the coming in of village grocer, to provide a space within their supermarket that they had opened up in Tropicana, I think Tropicana Garden. And we are hoping that if this takes off successfully, it will increase and create more job opportunities for the children, particularly, the potential of being able to open up more and more within all the supermarkets. So Bake with Dignity has indeed helped a lot of persons with learning disability build confidence level, teach them skills, specific, improve their growth and motor skills, and created a valued role in the society. And we would like to be more involved in the mainstream of creating more mainstream work for such children. I will move on. You have actually asked me lastly as a question whether or not my view of it, if what about government current policies, and whether government current policies in employing at least 1% of persons with disability in the public sector can include children who have learning disabilities. As we, well, perhaps I may not have actually run across this point with you, but when we take the bakers in, we usually have them like a training period. There's a training period, and then we actually monitor the children. We also observe what sort of traits they may have, what actually triggers perhaps a feeling that, you know, they're not happy about certain things, and most of all, you know, how to handle them in a case of a meltdown. And for all that to be successful, we have actually been successful through the people who partner with us and who work with us, particularly the normal people, that they have been able to handle children like that. And if the government wants to be successful in employing children or persons with sort of learning disability, then what I'm trying to say here is that because they will have their differing personalities, they will have their differing behavioral issues, and may face certain situations whereby they may not like I will give you an example of my son. He doesn't like echo. So the moment he hears anything that echoes across the ceiling, you know, it really causes a lot of built up sort of anxiety in him. And it just takes a small little thing to spark off, you know, a shouting thing, you know, within the supermarket. It can be very embarrassing for us parents, you know. So unless, let's say, you know, our education policies in Malaysia recognize these issues, and also the public are made aware that of these issues, you know, and the fact that they are able, the government sector is actually able then to give these adults employment because they have the support behind them, and they know that with the support, you know, of people who work with these children or with these persons with learning disability, then adults with such learning disability will definitely have difficulty in being employed in the public sector. Okay. Other than that, I am willing to take questions.
I'm sorry, but our moderator, second moderator, is having. Oh, okay. We don't have any questions. Wait, eh?
Let me see. You're not on mute. Chat question.
No, we don't have any questions for, I guess. Wait, eh?
Okay.
Anyone here have any questions? We have the question and answer session here. If anyone want to ask, please provide your question. Please write your questions in the chat box.
No?
No. Because everything that
Right.
okay. Wait, eh? Yes, thank you. Wait, eh? Wait, eh?
Okay, I think number one, it is a two-pronged thing. Number one, our schools must get such persons. Okay, persons with learning disabilities are normally classified into those who are more able to and those who are not able to, and whether or not you can talk. My son, for one, has no verbal, can't talk much. And that is part of communication. So when you don't have communication, then it makes things very more difficult, you know, whether it is with your teachers or people who actually work with you, if you are not able to talk. So you need support of the people, first of all, in the schools, in most of the levels of as a child actually grows up. And once that happens and people are more aware of it, so they are not stated as being a mad person. I remember that if my son becomes very has a meltdown, people used to call him mad in colloquial language. And for us, it is a very difficult thing to accept, simply because we view him differently from a normal other person. Unless those mindset changes, then it will be very difficult to include persons with learning disabilities within every set of our sectors of our community, in job opportunities, unless it is actually within a sheltered environment like Bake with Dignity.
Okay.
But we hope that if, let's say, 30 years have passed and it's been a long journey, and yet we can come to this point, then it may take us another 30 years, maybe before all these infrastructures are made, can happen, you know, so that they can be included, well, correctly into our society.
I want to add from Miss Patricia. Please support people with disabilities during their job and do charity to any organization that helps people with disabilities. And also, I hope everyone can try to learn sign language so we can communicate with them easily, or at least try to learn some important and basic signs such as thank you or help me.
Thank you, Ms. Patricia, for your acknowledge and view that benefit for everyone else, including me. Before we open the question and answer, I would like to recap a little bit about what just already Ms. Patricia to share with us. Okay, as a mother of the 28 years old man who is under the autism, so she volunteered for the Dignity and Service in 2050 as this Director of Advocacy with the aim of supporting people with learning disability through dignity and service, the program and the activities, and through her sign direct involvement, enabling them to become independent lives and working people. Okay, for this program and this dignity and service certainly have the projects in their works. The first one is supported living and bake with dignity. So in addition to the community, the independent life for the people with learning disability It also provides many employment. So I think all of these programs have under the COVID-19 have some problem, right? But more and more the individual and the companies are supporting to this program and buying the cookies and the cakes.
I also want to add, having to close the bakery due to the COVID-19 situation in Malaysia was a challenge for Bake with Dignity, but BWD found an opportunity with Village Grocer providing a space to sell Bake with Dignity's cake. This continued to ensure employment for adults with learning disabilities. Dignity and services not only build a level of confidence for people with learning disabilities, but also makes them more independent. It has also improved the public's understanding of people with learning disabilities, making a contribution to society. Okay, so
Okay, all right. So just now we are ready to open this question and answer, right? If any the learners have the question, so for now, I think we don't have any question in here, right? Since there's no question, so I want to, before our end of the session, Miss Patricia, just now already share all of her the experience and about her son and this program. I think so much. Thank you so much, Miss Patricia. That is so much a great advice. I hope everyone can take a note from this and your advice.
okay. Lastly, I would like to appreciate Ms. Patricia's efforts and commitments to become a speaker and lead this webinar to our success. I want you to know how much I value your effort. Thank you for taking time out of your personal time to meet our deadline. I wish you all the best for your family and dignity and services. May your organization flourish for your kindness in helping these disabilities in getting new hope and life.
Okay, also thank you to everyone and my partner who already staying with us throughout the our webinar. We hope you already learned and enjoyed the time you have spent with us today. Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye. We would like to see. Thank you. Bye bye.